Hello, friends. I am so excited to bring you this new masterclass, new year, new level, at a very auspicious time of the new year in 2024. And as usual, for those of you who know me, you know that I will have packed a lot of information in here, but I'm going to keep coming back and looping round to really getting clear on the knowledge that small changes can make really big shifts. So this isn't about activating everything straight away. It's about giving you a little bit of a workflow or a roadmap, however you want to look at it, to really audit, review, and change, adapt, or experiment with your creative business processes, how you approach them. So what does that mean? We want you to evolve, and we're going to talk about why in a minute. Not in this order, but these are the core areas that I've chosen that I feel are the most important within our creative practice, within our business, within our creative life. So we're looking at your vision. We always start with the vision when I work with artists in the creative mentoring program. We're looking at money, your relationship to money. I really want you to change and understand your values around that. So we're going to go deep into that. Your people, your network, your community, who you're showing up with, who are supporting you, your practice, of course, your beautiful, beautiful, magical goods, your business and what that looks like and how you're relating to it. And of course, your beautiful confidence, which is where you make all your decisions, how you show up for yourself and then into the world. But I want you to feel that you can do this without the fear of losing you, without the fear of burning out, because we can get to the next phase of our career and become stronger, not burning out, not neglecting ourselves. So when I work with artists, it's very much about looking at all areas. It's very holistic, so that we know that we can work in a way where all the areas in our lives are connected and acknowledged and supported. Very, very holistic. So why do we need to change? Well, the world is changing and we need to adapt and we need to change with it. We have the rise of AI. We have the change and constant changes with the algorithms and the increased speed of trends coming in and coming out. But as artists, we thrive in challenges. It does help to know how to approach and to work with these challenges. And that's one of the amazing things that I love. I love to give artists the tools to problem solve with that, because often we do know and we do love that. It can be scary though. We're artists, we are magicians, we create magical expressions across many forms to dazzle others from thin air. It's like second nature. As artists, we need new, we need growth, we need to see that we are succeeding and we can stay in the game to continue this wonderful life we've created for ourselves. As artists, you are needed now more than ever. That is why. A little bit about me and my story and why I'm here chatting to you today. So I am an award-winning artist and mentor. For 15 years, I've run a global creative studio based in London, becoming a leader in my field. I've partnered with the biggest brands on the planet and hit the so-called six-figure success target, but it didn't really feel like it. It didn't feel like success to me. I felt undernourished. I left my agent. I moved to Europe, took a step back from client work and built on my 20 years of educator skills to mentor ambitious artists from photographers, writers, musicians, fine artists, illustrators, designers, street artists. And I've done this with huge joy, fulfillment, and success globally and face-to-face for the last 4 years. In the last 12 months, after this break, I was able to work with a mentor myself, and I produced more artwork in that 12 months than in the previous 6 years. I built an exciting creative practice again that fueled and filled my cup. I hosted a solo show, sold loads of new work, and now embarking on a large-scale creative project for new clients. It's a full circle moment that I had one of many of my mentors would have experienced working with me. It was time for me to look at my creative transformation. This is why I created my mentoring program in the first place. So, yes, I like to embrace change, although I still suffer the fear as the next person. I see myself as a bit of a risk taker, and as my mentor says, I get shit done. This is an important energy I bring to artists that I work with. I champion them and I softly challenge them. I hold space for them to be braver, bolder, and to create work that does amazing things in the world. So let's dive in. So if you can watch this in one go, take some notes, have a notebook with you and look through it. Maybe you want to screenshot the slide so you can work on it like a worksheet. However you want to do this, focus on what sings to you and connects with your energy, and that's where you'll feel more motivated and excited. So maybe you need to cherry pick. Do this how you feel most excited. And you have everything you need for the next chapter of your career. This class is to empower you with new ideas, fresh approaches to help you take small and clear actionable steps at your own pace in creating a more robust and exciting foundation for your creative business evolution. Coming back, keep things simple. This is my mantra for the year. Things land for ourselves and things land in the world and for our audiences and for our clients when we do less. So keep it simple. Okay, whenever we are starting any project, when it's a really good time to start the year, especially with your vision, because everything begins with a dream. Everything begins with a vision. And why do we want to have a vision? Often as artists, we get scared of being too big sky or too caught in the clouds because we worry that we're going to neglect the sort of more practical side of our business. I know I've been there, and I talk to artists about this a lot. So we can balance being in that dreamy vision and blue sky thinking, but also ground. So if we can create a vision mapping, so we look at what do I want? What does it look like? Then we can ground. So capturing things on paper is so powerful. And it's a really, really big part of my practice and what I bring to artists within my program. So we start from a feeling state. And why do we want to start from a feeling state? Because often we don't know what we want. What do we want to work with? Where do we want to live? Okay, well, what we start with, well, I want to feel in nature, or I want to be working at these hours a day, or I want to be surrounded by people having these conversations and doing these things. So we can gain clues. We don't need to know all the specifics straight away. We just need to know, oh, well, I want to feel this. We can plot that out. Why do we want to be in a feeling state? One, because we're creatives. And two, as I said, things start from a dream. So we want to start from the head down. When we start from the head down, we can lead with the heart. And I speak to a few of my mentees, and we call their practices heart focus or heart centered, because when something's led by feeling, we're owning it more. We know what it feels like in our body. We embody it. So we allow ourselves to go big, whether it's a solo show in Japan, or I had a friend who wanted to go to space, and then I found out that her granddad worked at NASA. But the bigger your desire, the better, because if you can supersize things, it allows us two things. First of all, if you reach for the moon and you fall, you land on the stars. And I love that so much. So when we think big, we can 1,000 times it. And maybe if we don't get that 1,000 times, we can get something around the hundreds. So aim big always. It also helps us when we aim big to get things in perspective. When I was struggling with my press release, and I was like really getting in a stress about it, I had to coach myself and sit down and ask myself, well, if you want to continue running a global design business, then you need to be able to do the small stuff. So it allows us to not get caught in the weeds, so to speak. So make it feel even just a little scary. I know we have enough challenge in the world anyway, but if we sit in a vision, it is so much, it's now proven that it is so good for our mental health to have big dreams, because when we are having days, and I wrote it here, it kind of anchors us. It gives us something that allows us to go, okay, well, today's tough, but I'm going to get through it because I know where I'm going. I know what my vision looks like, and I know where I'm heading and why I'm working. So it gives us a roadmap to follow. And what it also does when we get into the science part, which is always good, so it's not just woo, is that it allows us to gain a positive future feedback loop. Now, our brain is naturally wired for 98% of the things that we thought, the things that we saw, the conversations that maybe we didn't have but are still running around in our brain, especially for ADHD brains like mine. We ruminate, and we can have the same past feedback loops going on in our head for days. So once we start interrupting that loop and bringing in a future loop, this is when things get exciting. So once you've mapped out what your vision looks like, you can keep going back to that and adding flesh to it, adding color to it, adding smells to it, adding an avatar to it, giving it life. So it becomes more real, and it starts to change those pathways in your brain. So very exciting way to start. And I wanted to pop this in. When the world is changing, even the small amount of change can make a big difference. And I come back to this statement a lot: be the change you want to see in the world. And that can just be in your inner world, in your environment. Remember, keep it simple, keep it small. So your beautiful practice, and your practice can look like so many different things. You are wonderfully unique. Your Holy Trinity, I come back to rituals and honoring, and I love this idea of, touching in, and this idea of practice that is an honoring of ourselves, because we are going to do better work in the world if it is nourishing and feeding our souls and our hearts first. So how do we do that? Again, we're balancing the practical with the magical. So we want to touch in, even if that's like 5 minutes a day, even if it's like writing your journal about something that you're working on, even if it's just creating a color combination. If you can come back to your work and it's changing, all the time. It's going to feel motivating. It's going to feel like it's growing, and it's going to keep exciting you. So keep your practice. Remind yourself that you are an amazing creative. Create your basis. So that could be like what your setup is. Maybe it's a journal. Maybe it's a few pens. Maybe it's your iPad somewhere, or you want it next to your bed if you get ideas before you go to sleep. Keep experimenting. There's so much that I've learned over the last 4 years in being a mentor and looking at different approaches to do the same thing. And we need new and fresh, like I said earlier. Keep experimenting. If something's not working, move it, change the time of day. Your work is your currency, it's your gold dust. Don't squirrel it away. Document it all, photograph it all. Think about how you can communicate it to others. And we're going to talk more about that in a minute. Update your channels. We know this because you need to present those goods in the world. And one great thing that is good to remind yourself is when you're documenting it, when you're presenting it, when you're updating it, when you're sharing it, you're embodying it more. You're understanding more about the stories that you want to tell. You're understanding about what's unique in the way that you tell those stories. And the more you embody it, the more you practice it, the more you learn about your relationship with it, and you can become bolder with the way that you're communicating those themes. And who are we communicating to, and who are we working with, and who do we want to be supported by? Your people are people. So this is a great time of year to think, who are the people in my community? Who are my networks? Who are the people in my city? Who are the people in my WhatsApp groups? I need an audit. I need a refresh. I want to research and I want to identify the people that I want to bring my work to. I want to communicate with. I want to support. I want to contribute to. So set targets. This is a really big one. And I think as artists, we don't do this enough, and we're not told this enough. Who do we want to speak to, and how many communities do we want to be part of, and what do we want to do this year? Look at what you want in the year, break it down to months and even weeks. That might mean you just want to speak to 5 new people a month, and that's great. Imagine how that is going to change your community dynamics and your opportunities and your network and support system in a year. So we want to keep them warm. We want to, you know, be creative about how we can maintain those relationships. And I talk a little bit more about that as we go along. So you want to talk about your work with others. So be open to feedback. Be open to testing and iterating. Remember, this is a time for community more than ever. So we want to be open and have a little bit of a thick skin and be open to like, okay, well, that's really interesting. I'm up for changing that, and having that mindset. Getting accountability is huge. The statistics on this are massive. I normally share them in a masterclass. So any of you who've seen my masterclasses before this will know that I share the statistic that regular accountability allows you to achieve 95% of your goals. How huge is that? So, and if you want to, you can communicate with me and ask me where those facts are, and I will share them with you. But so many people come to me and say, oh my gosh, you've done such brave things. Oh my gosh, you're so talented. Oh, you've done amazing things. And it's because I have had support, because I have worked with amazing mentors and coaches and energy coaches and the right people that have supported me along the way. How are we going to show up? Well, we need to be creative around that. First of all, video is so important. And we know this and we can see this on social. And luckily, video is becoming shorter and shorter and shorter, like our attention span. So we can do more in less time. So that's one positive, isn't it? So looking at how you can be creative with your video is really, really good, because people buy from people. Also, just having photographs of you in your environment with your work, introducing yourself, reintroducing yourself is so powerful. Some of those have had more reach and engagement than some of my reels that I've worked really hard on. So that's also good to know. A few artists that I work with really struggle with getting out into the world, getting out into this idea of showing up. Again, how can you be creative with small incremental change? So it might be, setting a camera up or getting a friend to video you slightly from the side to start with, just doing some work, maybe getting your hands in shot, and then slowly bringing more of yourself, because 99.9% of the things that fear us, once we step through that, it's kind of a portal to the other side. And on the other side, we're generally realizing that it wasn't all that big a deal. So one question I ask artists is, what's the payoff for you not bringing yourself in to the world, because it's restricting so much growth, opportunity, and abundance? So I added this at the end. Your newsletter is your secret weapon. Don't rely on building a house on someone else's land. You want your community in your space, and bring more to your newsletter clients and audience. And really think, and I'm going to talk a little bit more about this, really think about what you're bringing them. And it's so important. More people need to be using a newsletter. It's really, really important for you to build and nurture and show up, build trust, and show your goods. It's so important. Okay, so we're going to talk more about this in a minute. And this is something that comes up a lot. This is something that actually I read today online, is we do have to wear different hats. So we might be more than just an artist and a business owner, but we need to be in the space of, I'm doing this to make money. I'm also doing this as an artist to fulfill my needs, to fulfill my soul purpose. And this is why I'm on the planet. But balancing those two things are really, really important. So optimizing. This is something that I work on a lot with my mentor, because I've gone through this big shift. I've been creating content as a mentor more than an artist for the last 4 years to really build my mentoring community and my mentoring business. Now I'm optimizing for different things. So I have to look at, what am I optimizing in my newsletter? What am I optimizing when I show up on my, I've got my list here, and what I show up when I'm online and in interviews and on video. So I'm optimizing to demonstrate my skills as a brilliant artist. So you can have that one. Also, I need to demonstrate. So I'm optimizing by demonstrating the kind of work that I want and the kind of clients that I want to work with. Also, I'm demonstrating a quality, the quality that I bring, and I need to be doing that for me in the simplest way, and my most unique way of doing things. And again, as we talked about before, the more we're showing up, the more we're presenting, the more we're talking about it, the more we're embodying what we do. And we're always learning about our practice, because we're bringing it into the world and we're thinking about different angles and approaches. So get specific about why and why you running this business and who you're running this business for and who you want to attract and what you're optimizing for. And use post-it notes. Keep it front and central, in focus and central, because sometimes we can't remember all of these things, but we have to remind ourselves why, to get specific and get intentional as well. That's so important. So within your business organization, I mentioned I've said touch release system. This is something I say to artists that I work with. I want your business to run like one of those air drawers. You just kind of breathe on it or touch it, and it just opens up. I want your business to work like that, not like an art class, 1960s wooden plan chest where you can't close it or open it and there's paper everywhere. I have one of those too. You don't want that. So how do we do that? We want to automate your systems. What are the things that you're doing on repeat all the time? So it could be your questions that people are asking you, things that you're doing on the newsletter. What are the questions that you want to ask yourself before you're doing it? What are the things that you can copy and paste? This is a huge thing. I do this so much. I look at all my client journeys. I look at all my inquiry journeys. I look at my pitching and proposal journeys. So this could be responders. This could be templates. So you want to create a database with this information in. I use Notion. I find it a really beautiful program to use, and I use this with all my artists, and we collaborate on those bases and databases together. Time blocking has changed my life. I have a little plastic tomato. It's not to hand, but using a Pomodoro exercise for me is really great. I don't fall down the rabbit hole, and I talk about this a lot. So if you're interested, it has changed mine and my mentees' business. Look at Parkinson's law. It isn't just woo, that if you say, okay, I'm going to give myself 30 minutes to do this task, realistically, it is going to happen. And you can spend your whole day time blocking. Also, the author Cal Newport does some amazing YouTube videos on time blocking as well. So you want a workflow, you want something that you can follow, like your own journey. So we're going to talk a little bit about your creative roadmap in a minute for your projects. So that's going to be part of that. But you want to almost like a checklist. When I create something new, what are the platforms that I need to update? Do I need to update my bio? What needs to go in my catalog? Or whatever those resources look like for you, because that's your collateral. And then you roadmap those journeys. For me, as I said, I have a very creative and neurodivergent brain. So for me, I use the bullet journal. That's the first thing in my ripe old age that has worked for me, and I'm on my 8th now. I can't recommend bullet journaling enough. Get away from all the design bits, strip it down. I might do a bullet journal masterclass at some point because it is incredible. And as I said earlier, my operating system, my digital operating system is Notion, and I support artists in setting up work bases. And yeah, it's incredible because it's very visual and you can do everything in gallery format. So yes, that's business in a nutshell. Your projects. What are you bringing into the world this year? And at the head of a year, it's great to go, okay, I'm going to think of 3 to 5 projects this year. So my 3 to 5 projects are, I want 3 big commissions. So they could be wall pieces, collaborations, working on product, or it could be 1 book. And then in between that, and I've created this on just a basic colorful Excel sheet. is, okay, between January and February, or maybe January to March, I want to work on my mural, and then I've got a little gap. Then I want to do like another large project. That might be another mural. And then in between, I want to do smaller commissions. What do they look like? So that's a really nice way to start looking at it visually. Or you'll have maybe your 3 big projects, and then in between you want to like maybe go, okay, this is going to be the perfect time for me to pitch. So start in the excited phase, a bit like your vision. Get into like all the big dreamy ideas that you have, and then you can start to review them. And Marie Forleo does this really well. She's like, purge. So think about everything, get it all out, brain dump it, and then prune it. Go, okay, maybe this next year, or maybe this I'm not that excited by. So get into that feeling state and go, do I really want to do this? Yeah, I really need to do this. Okay, so once you've got your projects, then one by one, start looking at getting specific, because once we get intentional, we can start thinking about the things that we need. It starts to get real. So again, we're mixing the practical and the magical. We want to risk assess. I've done a lot of site visits. I've done a lot of work on site, whether that's with students or within my own work. So I call this the sort of risk assessment. It's like, what can I second guess that's going to go wrong? And that can be the obstacles that we have internally. Who is your imp? What is your imposter saying? Name it, shame it, even draw your imp and what it looks like. That's a really lovely exercise. What you are falling up against, you know, when your project is kind of getting is taking up wanting to take the next step, and it's like a little bit scary, then you know our obstacles will come in the way. But if we've dealt with them before the project starts, then we can be in a space where we're like, I knew this was going to come up and I've already know what this looks like. So we can do affirming exercises for this, where we can write down all our fears on one side of the page, and on the other side of the page we can go, okay, well, is this a practical or an emotional worry? And then that can be like, okay, well, if it's an emotional, that means I need to journal about it, or I need to get support. If it's practical, I need to find that information. So already through writing these things down, you're getting out of the emotional left-hand side, right-hand side of your brain, which obviously is important for our creativity. But when we're in a wobbly space, we want to get into the left-hand brain. So we start getting really practical, and even doing these, capturing things on paper gets us out of that emotional, because we're already doing the fix, right? What are your external obstacles? So it might be, you know, not being disturbed when you're putting all these gorgeous and precious time blocks into your day, and you don't want your family disturbing you. So you want to look at that. Even like your phone, if your phone is going to distract you and you're going to pick it up because like the workflow is getting sticky. And what resources do you need? What do you need? What help do you need? Do you need an accountability buddy? Do you need a coach? I couldn't recommend working with a coach enough. As I said, it's life-changing. And I'm going to talk about that when I talk about money as well. Because it allows you to keep moving when you've got a problem. We get so caught up in the dilemmas. Should I do this? Should I do that? Getting so excited about, oh my gosh, I've got all these ideas, but I can't move forward because I don't know which one is going to be profitable. I don't know if one is going to be the one that I'm going to enjoy the most. And as creatives, that's one of the things that is so good to have someone else around, because we can get caught in that stagnation and get creative block. So we need resources. We need resources for action. So understand what support you need. Understand what resources you need. Maybe that's looking at the people that have done a similar project and knowing that it's out in the world. And if they can do it, it's possible. Sometimes it can be that as well. So you want to define those targets, start setting deadlines. It can be as organic as you want. Let's not get caught up in the worry of, being hemmed in, because we don't like being hemmed in as creatives, but know that defining targets and setting a deadline gives us something to work towards, and it's a bigger way of time blocking, and we can chunk it down. Okay, by the end of this week, I need to make these many calls. By the end of this week, I need to start putting it on paper. By the end of this week, so it just all becomes manageable and it's exciting. So your confidence is everything. And this is something that I speak to artists about all the time. If we want to evolve and expand in our external world, we need to do the work in our internal world first. We need to be able to, because we need to be able to show up in all those parts. And what's beautiful about being an artist now is that we can show up as all our beautiful, intricate parts. We're not in the 90s anymore. And we're not in a space where we're told, okay, well, if you do something political, you can't be funny. If you're doing something whimsical, you can't do something serious. We are in a space where we can show and lead in this time where we can show up as all of us, but we need to have that confidence. So we can, as artists, as women, steer away from this idea of being too confident and talking about or name checking and what I want to share with you is I just want you to get clear on your strengths. And because we do steer away from being confident because we're worried that we're going to come across as arrogant or pushy, what I do with artists is I ask them to tell me the facts. We just work with facts. What are your awards? What have you achieved? How do you make people feel? What are your skills? What are your talents? Who have you worked with? That in itself is a beautiful foundation. Gather your testimonials, gather your skills, create your superpower, your strength list. This is your base where you will read from when you're pitching, before you're doing your scripts for your sales calls, before you go out into that private view for your solo show, because we forget how powerful we are. And we need to make this consistent. Journaling is such a huge resilience practice for my artists. And for me, I've worked, after reading The Artist's Way back 15 years ago, I had a creative block for 8 years after leaving my fine art degree. And it changed my life. And I have journaled every day since. That supports me with emotional resilience. That means I am more self-resilient, so I can problem solve a lot of the mental cobwebs and the mental drama that's going on in my brain at the beginning of my day, so I can own it and I can tackle what's going on. So I'm constantly clearing. Or another way I communicate this is it's like I'm having a little call with myself in the morning. It's like, how are you doing? How are you feeling? What do you need today? So that's what I call rituals. I find the idea of routines and goals as very external. I love the idea of honoring, using promises instead of habits, because, we're just showing up for ourselves first. And we need to honor ourselves, and we need to know what we're promising ourselves. So sometimes I'll say, what 3 promises do I need to deliver to myself tomorrow? And yeah, and practice that resilience. Look at what those things are for you, what those practices are for you, and experiment. Some things might not work, but that doesn't mean you're a failure. Some days you're not going to be able to do it, and that's fine. Just get back on. There's no one way of doing it. Make it yours, make it unique, make it fun. And that helps you build yourself, build your autonomy. It helps you clarify, because you need clarity on your role as an artist. I want you to know why you're here, why you're on this planet, and what you've got to do, and what you're here to say, and who you want to contribute to. This is a big one. I love that I've just added this in. I work with artists. One of the biggest responses to working with artists in this holistic way is them owning themselves, owning themselves completely through the cycle awareness work that we do. We work on understanding how their cycle works and how they can sync that with their creativity, because we are more spiritual, we're more powerful, we're more intuitive when we can take on a female approach with our work, and we become more fluid. This is huge. This is, again, another class in itself. But we start to own ourselves, we start to understand ourselves, and we become confident, more aware, magical and powerful women in the world. So this is a huge one. Just added it. We need to understand that being human beings, being artists, being business, solopreneurs, we are to embrace fear and be curious, embrace failure and learn. This has been something that I worked on for many years with different coaches, and I'm a different person through absorbing and embodying this. Okay, the juicy one. I love that I left this to last, if you were wondering. Okay, money flows where attention goes. We want to know what your relationship is to money, because often we're cowering away from it. Often we're not attached to it at all. So a lovely way to start this is to understanding what your money values are. So I thought I'd share 3 of mine. My money values are family, as many of yours might be. That I can support, I can see my family. Obviously, I've moved to Europe, so I want to be able to have money so I can fly to them, I can see them, I can support them. Choice is a big one. I'm working my ass off because I want to be able to choose the people that I want to work with, because I will do my best work, they will get their best work, everyone's happy. I don't want to be working with anyone that I don't want to work with. And it also gives me choice for the things that I want in my life. And one of the most important things is I'm making money from my growth. So I always work with a coach or a mentor, because I have big things to do in the world, and my money needs to support me going through big steps and big change, because I want to contribute and to support other souls along the way. So I'd love to know, and you can email me, I'd love to know this as well. What are your money values? And we can, I think it's really important, and I ask everyone that I work with to understand exactly what do you need? What is your, and this is the practical, what are the things that you need on a monthly, yearly basis? Let's not have this shock. Let's know what we're spending, what we're coming in, what is coming in, what our overheads are. Just get practical. Most of you might know this, but this is a really, really big one. Getting like an expenses app, or an app which is really good is one that is going to show your savings, your different accounts, and you have it all on one base. You know what you're spending also within those accounts, and you can categorize it. So you know exactly what you're spending on clothing, you know exactly what you're spending on whatever. So you're already getting into this sense of control. money is working with me. Money is an ally. These are mindset shifts. What's a difficult one to say? These are mindset shifts that are really needed for us to get into a more practical, less emotional relationship with money. So we take out the emotional. What are your income streams and how are you tending to them? Are you just putting things in a store, or are you just putting things with a gallery or on a shop and not really thinking about it? That's something to review. What skills do you have that can be monetized? So I work with artists that want to do what I do. I train them to be and mentor them to be mentors, because they have amazing skills, and it allows them to buy, which is what I do, buy their studio time, buy their support. So when you're looking at the different income streams, the different offers that you have, things that people inquire about you, it's really good for you to have a database where you can look at, okay, this is how much I charge for this offer. When people inquire this is how low I will negotiate. This is how high I will go. So you want a setup for that. It's really easy to do it at a neutral time. So when something lands on your desk or an email comes in and you're like, oh my God, this is so exciting, or this is crazy scary, we take that part out of it. You know, you can go into your touch system, and you can review, okay, right, I know that I'm gonna, and you will have also your responders in place that will have your commission or your inquiry templates or your copy and paste responders. And you want to do this around your scripts with your money, if you're doing pitching calls, if you're doing a talk, if you're doing a stall. You want those things, capture those things, think of those things in advance, because it helps you spend more time with your creativity rather than going back on the same thing. We don't want to be repeating the same thing again and again, because it becomes emotionally draining. So be brave and bold with your money goals. Create your targets and aim. This is so important, and having those things in mind that we've just talked about first will give you more confidence about and give you a space to be braver and bolder. So you can start strategizing what that money looks like, how you want to get the money. And when you strategize, you're putting in motivation and intention, and that equals success. And again, I think this is going to be an amazing masterclass to do. And I've been thinking about doing a mini masterclass for a few months that has a lot of this and so much more, and all the details within that and worksheets. So if that's something that you're interested in, then do let me know.
So, my friend, how are you wishing to evolve this year with this new knowledge? Which area are you most excited to tackle first? So, let's have a little recap, because we looked at the 6 core areas of focus. We focused that for results and for your creative growth. I hope you have some real takeaways from this masterclass so far. We talked about your vision and how important that is for your clarity, which fuels your direction. Knowing where you are going allows momentum flow. And when you have that, it's such a driver. It's such a drive for momentum, excitement, and this is where your growth lies. Your creative practice. We want you to be in your creative zone of genius, reason why you're on the planet, creative space 80% of the time, and only 20% in your business. When you are in that space, when you are in that 80%, that's where you are developing your voice for your creative empowerment. You're embodying your work, you're articulating what you're doing within your vision, and you are growing. that allows you to be supported and to support other people within your community. To be able to talk about your work allows you to expand on who your people will be this year for better opportunities to grow your network. And I know that my business wouldn't be half what it was without the community and the people around me. And I had such energy. I didn't have to be the best person in the room, but I did have the biggest energy and the most confidence because I knew exactly what my vision was, and I had every idea of what I was able to bring to that group of people. Your business, I want your business to feel like it's in momentum flow that is able to create a foundation of stability, which is dilemma-free. We want that. There's too many business things that get in the way and really hold us back from being in our creative force and allowing us to evolve. So this is a big one. Your money, how you talk about your money, how you see your value attributed to money is huge. It's not just a mindset. It's your security, and it allows you to choose who you want to work with, how you want to work, what you want to do in the world to support you and those that you love. All of these things, the product of achieving them does amplify your confidence. Of course, that is something that underpins all of this work through mindset work, through motivation, because that is going to enhance your decision making and allow for huge transformational change to happen across all of these areas. If you would like accountability and support on your 2024 creativity and business strategy, I would love to be there for you. If perhaps you want to boost your sales pitching or present new work to the world, build on your value mindset, or just greatly improve all of these areas within your current situation, but on your terms, then I'm here for you. My creative expansion one-to-one mentoring program has just reached its 4-year mark, and there's no time in the future that I see it stopping. And it's unique because it is one-to-one. It is really, really special because this is where I see a way of working that really guarantees so much growth and impact. And I love this work. So what is it? These are 6 one-to-one hourly, uniquely tailored face-to-face sessions, either in Zoom or, depending on location, in the real world. These sessions help move you forward towards the next level of your creative career. I love them. I love working this way. And each of these will be recorded and then sent to you afterwards. So that means you're all in, you're all engaged and active as we are collaborating, we're workshopping and we're brainstorming because we're planning your journey forwards together, step by step. You have homework, receive resources that are specific to your requirements and deadlines that we make together to ensure your momentum, flow and achievement is paramount at your pace. I'm with you every step of the way. This program has been life-changing. In a relatively short time, Jo has helped me understand exactly what I want from my creative career, things I may have never even considered or figured out at all, how to approach my goals, change my mindset, understand the creative market, use my time, and so much more. I loved working with Rebecca. We worked together for 6 months and plan to work together again this year. So I often get asked by artists, but what do the sessions actually look like? So all of the sessions are focused on what you got, what's working, what's not working. So we look at auditing it. We have a little review and we edit. We look at how we can move you forward, focused on the results that you want. I'm going to go into more details about how we work out what you want, because that often comes through this work. So you don't need to know what that is yet. That's the beautiful thing. So we look at your setup. How are you working day by day? What is your level of focus? How are you thinking about your vision? Because we want to get you inspired and directed. This gives you that big clarity that we talked about and helps you flow and strongly communicate what you're doing to yourself and within your community. Some artists work very heavily on the art feedback, so art crits, looking at artwork, looking at online and offline folios, your presence, whether that's website audits, CVs that need to be made or need work, personal statements for exhibitions, maybe press releases, scripting for sales negotiations, and looking for agents. So workshopping your creative practice can look like many things, from creating concepts to mark making, and all things in between around your materials and processes. So these could be hands-on sessions, or together we create briefs for something that feels exciting and playful for your creative growth. I love this session. Who are you? We gain clarity on what your purpose is, what your mission is. Why are you here? What are you going to do? What do you want to change? What do you want to contribute to? Because knowing what that is allows you to really sink and flesh out what makes you unique. So we use worksheets and collaborative brainstorming for this. So a session could be about, let's look at your projects. What are your ideas? Do we need new ones? Do we need to change them? How's your approach? And the experimentation we do around those. Because we create as artists without much thought. We're on autopilot. So it's so good to have someone else on your team that allows you to kind of go off into the clouds and brings you back down, and you can chat and assess and evaluate and learn without the fear of getting lost. Your value mindset and your money confidence is so important to me. As a woman, this is a really, really big deal because we show up and discuss and communicate and negotiate with money differently to our male peers. So this is a big one because we doubt ourselves 1.5 times more than our male peers. So we look a lot around your mindset, but also I will be looking at how you're pricing yourself, how you're communicating that, what your money negotiations are, so that you get systems in place that allow you to create more money for you, for your family, for your loved ones. And what happens here is, with every artist that I work for, there's always a little bit or a little loophole or a little tiny consideration that hasn't been made that allows the artists that I work with to up their rates. So a big one is, well, I've not been that famous, so I can't put my rates up. There's so many myths that we have around money, especially as women. So this is a big one, and artists make their money back from this program with me. That is one of my big focus. So we talked about focus at the beginning. We also review and look at how your time is going within the course, how you're organizing it. I want you to continually review and assess how you can free yourself up for more and more and more time. This is huge because it holds so many shifts. So these are a few examples, but there's so many more. It really depends on what you need. And I'm going to tell you how we work that out in a minute. So this is not me on the other end of a screen sending you bits and bobs and getting you module based through a program. This is us collaborating, and you get to work with me for 6 months. That's huge. So I want to make sure that everything we talk about, everything we learn, everything I suggest you go out and research, we harness that, we use it, and we will create a database on Notion, and I can show you how to do offline databases as well, non-digital, and I will help you how to set that up and support you with that so that you have everything at your touch release system, so you know exactly where everything is, and especially building on everything that we do across the sessions, because what we talk about, you will continually come back to your career. Across your career, you will come back to this information because of the way that I structure it for you. I use these ways of working, these worksheets, these templates within my business, and you will get so clear on how they work within your systems that you won't be overwhelmed. And that's my really, really key takeaway from that. So I'm only going to send you what you need, because we'll work out what that is, because we're collaborating one-to-one. So I'm not just going to throw stuff at you. You're going to have your own personal worksheets for understanding and supporting your creative and business workflows better. So templates that you require for each business might be how to create your social media strategy, how you want to script your sales negotiation, how you want to really look at communicating with magazines, agencies, and so much more. So in the next slide, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about what the unique creative roadmap system is. But this is something that is very unique to this program and my way of working, which is a system that we build together before we even start, and continue to work on that collaboratively throughout these months together. Lovely feedback from Laura. This journey for me was massive. Joe helped me figure out who I wanted to be as an artist. I'd kind of fallen out of love with freelance and the creative work I was doing. I felt just utterly lost. 2 years later, and I'm still looking back on the work that we did together and still feeling the ripple effect of it all. Joe helped me figure out what kind of artist I was and wanted to be. From disenchanted illustrator to multi-award winning exhibiting fine artist. Thank you, Laura. So what is your UCR? That's your creative roadmap that we will work on together. And what makes this really special is that it is a roadmap that we start before we begin. So we identify what you need, what's working, what's not working, what your goals are, so that we're not spending time, your precious time in the sessions, talking back and forth on this. We will maximize on that time and your investment to make sure that you're getting deep transformation in that session time. So within this creative roadmap, we will be focusing on your targets that are led by your vision, and us both going on this journey together using small but concise steps forward. We can then brainstorm, workshop, and what other means required to get you moving, because we are aiming for your growth and achievements. So within this roadmap, we can measure your growth and make sure that you're hitting targets without doubt together. You are 98% likely to reach your goals with my help. And I love this statistic. Okay, let's talk about why I do this, what my mission is. Because I'm here to support you on this journey every step of the way, to move you through your doubts quickly, to bring you more energy and creative excitement with clear goals, accountability, and gentle butt kicking. I'll not throw a ton of handouts, workbooks, and extra resources to make this feel like a good deal. Only 5 to 15% of people in group programs and courses complete. Can you believe that? I can, because I've been on those programs and I've been top of the hardest workers within those courses and still struggle to complete. So when we look at that percentage, we now know that 85% of students fail in group and course programs. This is why I love to work one-to-one. It means I work with less people, but it means that success is highly, highly achievable, highly, highly possible, because I don't want failure to be an option for us. Through working one-to-one in a deep, energetic relationship, we leverage your strengths, because I will see them. I will see more than you can see. That's why it's so beautiful working one-to-one, because I will reflect that back. Not just see it, but reflect that back to you, which gives you so much confidence. We look at honoring your needs, which might grow, which will grow, which is amazing. And we will transform your creative approach for you to produce your best work and biggest impact. It's a fact. I've changed the way I work and my mindset completely. I've been taken from feeling stuck in a rut to a really expansive place where I feel like I can keep growing, improving, and moving closer to my goals every day. How amazing is that? My favorite parts of the program were analyzing the work together, setting goals and action plans, and really thinking deeply about my core mission and values. I loved working with Felicity over a number of months last year. So let's have a look at the benefits, just in case we need a reminder. So you'll recognize these areas. So once you've got your clarity within your vision, you are going to harness a really strong, unique message that will call forward your dream goals and clients. When you are up-leveling your presence, which means creating a clear offline and online portfolio that aligns with your dream clients, audience, and collaborators, you are in your next chapter of your journey. Through gaining this money, knowledge, experience, and me showing you exactly what you are worth, we need another person on our team with this. Believe me. We get to boost your confidence and your mindset to impact, presenting your work and pricing in your worth that is very, very different to what you do now. Your creative confidence is everything. I want your practice to really present your beautifully unique self to the world that is charged by your purpose, your mission, and is led by amazing, clear self-direction. Because I want you to go on after this work to be able to coach and direct yourself in your next phase of your journey. Your community connections, I've said how important these were in my career. These are going to be important in every artist's career. We can't work in a vacuum. You'll understand how to up-level from your client profile to understanding how to approach new communities, how to negotiate with your client connections, and also to sell the benefits, the value, the beauty of what you do to the world. With my accountability, we will measure the growth across your targets to support your business transformation. Remember, we want you to be in 20% of your business. A lovely testimonial from Claudine, who achieved huge spotlight in the work that she did with Apple and also the work that she created for MTV. She's done some incredible projects across her career, so it was an absolute joy to work with her. I kind of lost my creative spark a bit. Everything in my life changed. Jo gave me the confidence to kind of explore this. I have a lot owed to her for this new body of work that I'm launching now at the moment. I'm still working with Jo. She's helping me in the best way to kind of communicate this to new audiences, existing audiences, and even to myself. I always feel confident and also feel engaged and excited to go after a session with Jo. So I'm really looking forward to working with her again this year. And I'm so proud to have worked with artists that time again, year after year, I get to work with them at different stages of the journey. Some artists I've worked with 3 or 4 times, and it's a really incredible honor to still be thought of and still be trusted within that process. So I'm 100% confident that I can support you in making significant changes in your work and creative evolution this year. My last testimonial was the lovely Sarah, who I've been working with the last year. Jo helped my confidence tremendously, not only in my work, but also in myself. I have increased my rate by 50%, and there's no other investment that will get you that kind of return on your money than investing in yourself and in a mentor like Joanna. She's taught me to value myself and my skills and have that reflected in my pricing structure. So blessed to be working with Sarah, such a talented and amazing artist. So I only work with a small number of creative artists at one time because this works within my own practice. I don't like specifically all the logistics and the modular type of working within a group. I have worked with groups and I do love that, but my passion is within the relationships that I create within my one-to-one, because I'm not just mentoring, I'm coaching, I'm consulting, I'm working on that project with them. It's more like collaboration. It's like being in a team. So I'm going to share more details about what this looks like and the pricing, because I would love for you to apply But I first want to say that this offer is not for everyone, and that's fine. I also want to say that I will be selecting only artists that are serious about making change, that are serious about saying yes, taking that leap of faith in themselves, not just me, to make an exciting future for themselves that impacts them and their loved ones. I want the artists that work with me to be ready to go that extra mile. So, if you are available for that next chapter, if you're ready to really get into that space where you're ready for the next level, for bigger, better, bolder, and more brilliant impact in your work and bigger results, if you're ready to embrace heart-focused creative magic, then this could be for you. So let's do a little checklist. So, if you are driven and ready to create work that has the potential to do amazing things in the world, amazing. If you're ready to embrace transformational shifts in how you show up and commit to and for your craft, and if you're committed, even if it's just 2 hours a week, then I'm here for you. Let's chat. Joe taught me how to do things from a position of power and confidence in order to talk to people in the right way, to sell myself properly. That was instrumental in having a successful year and feeling proud of what I achieved last year. I got into 2 new galleries. I learned powerful techniques for overcoming overwhelm, which was one of my biggest challenges. And I've also tripled my income with a motivating new technique that I taught Mish. How exciting. So my Creative 2024 Expander program is as simple as this. It's 6 one-hourly sessions working with me face-to-face to use within 6 months. This is a time-sensitive offer of 1,500. So I would love for you to apply. Send me an email. Easy as that. And I would love to chat to you about how this is possible for you. Installments are available for you. This can be stretched over a number of months for the payment to make it possible for you. But I promise you, at the end of this, you will be making that money back. And all I want to say now is thank you so much for still being here. Thank you so much for your time. And I really hope that we get to meet. Sending so much love.